All right, let's talk about leveling the trailer. So to level the trailer, one part of it has to be done while you're still connected to the car, and then the other part of it can be done after you've disconnected from the car. So essentially the side to side, so in other words, is this tire and the other tire even and level, that has to be done before you disconnect. So now we're on a very flat surface here, and you'll find most campsites in Ontario are flat and you probably won't have to do the side to side leveling, but you always want to check before you disconnect the car. And so what we'll do is we'll check inside the trailer on the floor with a level to see if we need to move one side up or down. Okay, so as you can see, looking at the levels, we're just a hair off. We're in the acceptable range, we're in between the lines, so that's okay. But if we wanted to fine tune it, basically I can see if I lift this side of the level up, that's the direction I want to go to get in the middle. So this would just be a one piece of wood if you were going to adjust like just a ½ inch on that side. Any more than that, you'd be just basically off the same way the other side. And keeping in mind, this is before we unhitch the car. We just need to make sure our side to side level is correct using the blocks and or the wood to do so. We have various things in the storage compartment that you can use to get one side of the trailer up. If it's just a very, very tiny difference, you can use these pieces of wood. And you can see they are kind of cracked. Don't worry about that. You can just put 2 or even 3 of them underneath the tire. And what we would do is we would just back up the trailer to just a foot ahead of where we want it to actually sit. And then we would just put the wood under the tires like so. And then you would just have the driver just back up enough to get the tire on top of the wood. And that would bring you up about ½ inch or so. So that's a very tiny adjustment. Now let's say if you needed a full inch of adjustment, then each one of these orange blocks is 1 inch. So do the same thing, just put the orange block under the tire and then have the driver back up so that the tire is centered on top of the orange thing. Now, if you needed to go up 2 inches, and in all of our camping, we've only ever had to do this one time, but what you're going to do is you're going to create a little pyramid like this with these blocks, which fit together like Legos. And then you're going to use one piece of wood just to put underneath the edge. What we find is without the piece of wood, if you just use them alone, when the tire hits it, it kind of tips this one up like that, and then it breaks apart. So we're just putting that in there to kind of create a little bit of a smoother path for the tire. And same basic idea, we're just going to put it under there, and then we would just back up the trailer, and that would have you up there. Okay, so if you do have to use this type of an arrangement, you want to make sure you've really chalked the other wheels better, because they're going to be the ones that are properly on the ground. And we do have some larger orange wheel chocks which you can use. You can use the wood as well, but if you have to do this, that's how it's done. Step 2 is going to be to chalk the tires, and this is probably the most important step for your safety and to keep the trailer safe as well. If you unhitch the trailer from your car before the wheels are chalked and you're on any kind of a slope, the trailer will likely try to roll away from you, and obviously that can be a very dangerous situation. So before you start any of the actual unhitching process, make sure you chalk those tires. All right, so we've chalked the wheels, so now we're ready to start the actual disconnection process. So I'm going to start by disconnecting the electrical first. Okay, so now that the electrical is out of the way, I'm going to disconnect this emergency brake cable. Very important that this is connected when you're driving, because if the trailer ever did come disconnected from the car, this thing will actually apply the brakes on the trailer so that we don't have a runaway trailer. And then I'm going to take the safety chains. And of course, while we're doing all of this, we would make sure that we have the emergency brake on the vehicle on so that nothing can move while we're doing this. Always keep your safety in mind. usually what I do is just put them together like that and just let them hang, and that's fine. Now that we've removed the emergency brake cable and also the safety chains, we're going to get ready to take off the weight distribution bars. Now, when everything is down, there's tension on these, and that makes them harder to take off. So what we're going to do is we're going to lift everything up so that we take the tension off of the bars. And so I'm going to leave the coupler done for now because I actually want it to lift both the trailer and the car to remove the tension from those. Okay, so I'm just going to go up a couple of inches, so maybe about 15 or 20 turns. Okay, and so now I'm up high enough that there should be no tension on these bars, and also the way our setup is, it makes it a lot easier to get the bar out of the hitch, which you'll see in a minute. So there is one tool for taking the weight distribution bars off that you'll have to use, and it's this bar, which is basically a piece of pipe that's been cut, and that's going to allow us just to take the tension off with a little bit of leverage. So I'm going to start. Each one of the chains is connected to the trailer, and it's held, this piece is held by little pins. We just remove that pin, and I just put it right here, put the bar on, and I'm just going to release the tension. You can see there's very little because we raised the trailer. So if you just did it right at the bottom, this would be actually, give you a lot more of a kickback when you released it. So that's why raising it is a good idea. Okay, so now just let that down and follow the same towing rule. We always put everything back where it belongs, and then we'll never lose it. Okay, and to get the bar off, just move it right to the middle and then tip it out. So the end with the grease is heavier, and you also just want to keep it out of the elements. So we'll just put it down there. Please try not to drag it, just place it down. And wherever you're parked, you can just leave the bars like that. Okay, we'll give you another look at the removing the weight distribution bar. First we pull that pin out, then we use the tool to just drop it down, pull the chain out, and put it back into place and replace the pin. That just prevents us from losing the pin. And now we're going to grab the bar and just push it right up against the tongue jack, and then it tips out, and put it at the front of the A-frame. So now that we have the bars off, the weight distribution bars off, I'm going to lower this because I'm going to uncouple now. And of course I don't want the car to kind of drop off the hitch, so we're going to lower it down. And basically I'm going to lower it right until the little platform comes off of the ground, and then I'll just So I've taken all of the tension off. You can see there's no. So now I'm just going to lift it just a tiny bit, just so that the trailer is supported. And pull that off. Open it up, and once again we'll put the lock back. There we go. Again, just to make sure that we don't lose it. And now I'm going to lift the trailer up so that I can pull the car away. You'll notice at this point, not a bad time just to make sure that there's nothing else connecting between the trailer and the car. So the chains are gone, the emergency brake cable is gone, and the only real connection at this point is the coupler. Not a bad time also just to make sure that you remembered to chock those wheels, and yes they are. Probably the only really dangerous thing about all of this is the potential of the trailer to roll away on you, which is why I put so much emphasis on chocking those wheels. Alright, so now I'm going to lift it up, and I just need to lift it up high enough so that the ball can drive away, basically. Okay, so Bill, if you show, just move down. Okay, so you can see I'm not high enough up yet, so we'll keep going up. Now that we're high enough so that it's completely clear, we can pull the car away. So you'll find in the storage area, the outdoor storage area, this box that says Master Lock, and it has a coupler lock that's going to go on the front of the trailer here. Okay, so just open it up, pull it out. Careful, it is a little greasy, but and I'm just going to show you how to put this thing on. So the way this guy works is basically this is like the ball of a hitch, and so it just goes in like so, and I'm going to lock this, and then I just push this in as far as it will go, and I'm just going to use the key to lock it into place. So just do that, and now it's on there, and that would just prevent somebody from connecting the trailer. And of course it's not locked actually until you lock this one as well. So we put this one back on and lock it up. It's not a massive amount of security, but it does provide us with some security against theft of the trailer. All right, now it's time to level the trailer front to back. So we're back inside with the level. A good practice is to have one person inside, one person at the tongue jack, and then between the two of you, you can determine when you've either raised or lowered the tongue enough to be level. There is one last step that we have to do, and that's to put the stabilizers down. You don't have to, but we usually use one of these at each corner. So I'm just going to put it down below the first stabilizer here, and then we just use this tool to wind them down. And these are not used to lift the RV or to level. They're strictly stabilizers, so they're not strong enough to hold the full weight of the trailer. All right, so we'll move on to the next corner. All right, folks, at this point you've completed all 14 steps and you are now ready to camp. Congratulations, thank you for renting from us, and we hope you have an awesome time with the trailer.